Right. Are we talking about the coup de bee?
The Côte d'Abeille. Yeah. Well, you can talk about the courthole project.
Oh, I did. Yes, there's more happening on the courthole project. We've been making accords for. Thank you. Thanks for that. You know the woman. I'm going to disappear now. The woman in the picture, the courthole gallery, the bar, the Folie Bergère.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been dividing it up. There's a podcast out about it, which I must listen to. And we're working on. Well, there's the woman, quite clearly there is a woman in it and there's a man in it, and although they mustn't be, for men or women, they're just going to be fragrances of what those people's auras might smell like. Plus the fragrance of the room. So we've been sort of taking it apart and putting it back together again. And it didn't help at one point I lost all the formulas and we started all over again. But what's good is then we started all over again.
Yeah.
So we've got some new ideas.
Exactly.
So now we just have to put them all together again before you go back to France.
Yes.
So that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's an interesting point, though, to pick up on that
Yeah.
with regards to creativity. Sometimes losing things and starting again is one of the best things you can do.
Yeah.
Harold Pinter apparently used to write a play, put it in his cupboard, write it again without looking at the thing, put it in his cupboard, write it again without looking at either of the first two, and then he would reread over the three of them, and then he would create his fourth draft from the three. But I think that there's something in that of like doing it and then throwing it away.
Yeah. I think I wouldn't go quite as far as completely throwing it away on purpose. But yeah, going back and revisiting and seeing how close you come out to your first version. Maybe he did that when he was still young enough to remember what he'd written in the first place. I think I might have an issue.
But I mean, yeah. It's like... Yeah.
But I sort of knew which materials we'd use for the whole thing. But coming back to it 6, 7 months, 8 months later, I didn't remember which ones we'd assigned to which place in the painting. So it's like, the beeswax went there, and the patchouli was, that's where the cashmere round was. So, but they would end up sort of in the same room. But yeah, definitely putting beeswax for the man's moustache.
And the ball, like the polish.
And the polishing of the ball, yes. Yeah, so that is happening, and I must crack on with it. But after we've tidied up, because we've got the open weekend coming up. Not that open, given the fact that the tubes and the trains are going to be shut down, but I support their right to do that. So we're going to have the Zoom on. And there's some other things, like you've got a plan, it all goes wrong, you come up with a better plan. So, what you've been working on?
So out of this project, I kind of try to make a perfume which would not display exactly the atmosphere in the room, but based on the fragrances that were released back then and the molecule used. So obviously we used something that were not available at the time, because it was like 250 years ago, almost.
150.
150. Sorry about that. So yeah, it was fun, and then on the painting you have somebody on the trapeze. Is it a lady? Yeah.
In green shoes.
In green shoes. So I kind of made a project around that. So it's supposed to smell quite old, I would say. And Nick calls it bee poo, because it has the animalic element you had from all the fragrances, like vintage one. And also the tobacco I used is quite honeyish, I would say. But I don't think overall it smells like poo. I would hope not. But yeah, you have tobacco like violet, so honey notes that come from here. But you have a lot of sweet things like coumarin, vanillin, eleutropin, things that would have been used like perhaps 50 years later, but we associate with more of a vintage smell. And on the year it was released, the painting was done. Fougère Royale by Houbigant was released, and it's the first fougère that used all synthetic coumarin. So before we was used, the tonka bean.
Yeah.
And this one used coumarin, so you have
Wow.
coumarin in that.
It's really good.
Isn't it lovely? Yeah.
And yeah, you have. For now, it's limited. So Sarah asked me I need to do another version because it's limited by a few aspects. One of those is the mask I used. We had a conversation about it yesterday on the perfume making group, or Scenthusiasm.
Scenthusiasm, yeah.
Uh,
It's a question of the practicality is, am I prepared to buy all the extra materials that I don't currently have that Alex used? I might, if I can get them in small quantities to use it, but it's where it comes down to the practicality of running the business side rather than the sheer joy of untrammeled creativity. If I then say, okay, make it again, which is like real life, if I say make it again and don't put that in and don't put that in and don't put that in, but make it smell just as good.
yeah. And it was about the fixolite, so the tonalite, fixolite tonalite, which is limited. I don't think it's IFRA, it's EU, right?
It's IFRA, it's actually restricted to 2% because it is phototoxic. But there's environmental considerations because it doesn't biodegrade.
Yeah.
But the question is then, does it matter?
Yeah.
But it has question marks over it. So would we maybe replace it with formaldehyde, which does biodegrade?
Or ethylene bracylate. I think it's
Yeah.
not so much of a bioaccumulator.
Yeah. And then there's the honey signature in it.
Yeah. But yeah, you have a few animalics and stuff like this.
It's very.
If you sieve it synth in, Arthur.
Yeah, well, I can smell the civet in it actually.
Yeah.
I can pick it out.
It's on the verge of like taking over and making it smell like poo, so I'm pretty sure
That's right.
Just the right amount.
Yeah.
It's just the right amount.
Yeah. So
But-
that's why it's bee poo, you see, because it's the tiny amounts of poo, so you can hardly tell it's there.
I think
Do bees poo?
they do. They must.
How?
do they leave long enough to poo? Yeah, most likely they poo because they
must.
throw up. The propolis is throwing up.
Yeah.
Well, regurgitate.
Birds don't wee.
They poo in
But
at
they-
the same time.
It's the same.
Yeah,
it's
it's
the
very,
same.
very
It's just
runny.
very running. Yeah. This is very. I would say. Very good.
Yes.
And
that's the right.
It reminds me
Yes,
of.
it is,
It makes me
is.
think of a Victorian penny arcade
Perfect.
on the end of a pier.
Absolutely perfect.
Specifically, some of the places near where I grew up in Southport.
I think it's the one that's St Anne's.
Never been to that one.
It's not too far away. Yeah.
It's definitely not Brighton.
No.
Might be Blackpool.
Yes.
Back in the day.
I think so.
It's really good, Alex. I think it's spectacular.
Thank
It's
you.
amazing.
don't want to go back to France.
Just don't go back to France. Just
That's-
stay. Just stay. We'll just stop having you on the videos so no one knows you're here.
Yes, and then we'll
Let's
both
have
get
it.
arrested. Yes. Thank you,
Okay.
Home Office. Right. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's bee poo. What about some golden owl?
We could smell it, but the thing is, it has quite a bit of naturals, and on the day one, I don't think it's so great. So I could take the version that I made yesterday or the day before, I don't remember. Or we could try this one, but it might be a bit all over the place on day one. We can try it. We could try it. I mean,
Yeah.
Generally, all the things they want. We could. So we have
Let's
to
do
make
it.
So the story of this one is then that Alex turned up to the UK for his almost 2 months with plenty of raincoats and woolies, and then we got the longest, hottest, driest, most scary summer that we've had since 1976, but a lot hotter. So he's been creating the smell of lemonade and hay, which
Nice.
represents his stay here. So, yeah, I can't stop smelling this really.
It's really, really good.
Yeah. We're all quite upset when we have to let him go.
guy that doesn't find the package downstairs. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay, I have to
But,
go and do that. You talk to Arthur about this.
Yeah.
Really
Well,
nice.
let's pause for a moment.
Yeah. it kind of aimed at doing?
Well, yes, that it was the surprise you got when you turned up and found that London wasn't all wet and damp all the time.
Yes, it was dry and it was very dry, very nice. I love London. It was very dry. So yeah, this is supposed to be kind of.
Had you spent much time in London before?
It's my first time in London actually.
It's your first time here?
I went like 12 hours here and there, but I would not consider it like visiting London. It was because it was like just a pit stop in a.
Do you think you would like to come back?
I would love to come back here for sure. So many things to do.
Mm.
Yeah, and so many great people and stuff.
And some others.
And some
Thank
others.
Thank you.
So this was supposed to be. You have kind of a.
Ooh.
Lemonade top.
Mm.
I make my lemonade with honey, so you have also, again, it kind of repeats itself, but a honey thing going on.
Oh.
And then it's supposed to be like drinking a lemonade basically in the dry grass. So you will have quite a dry grass aspect, like hay.
Mm.
So it's like just sitting in the park drinking lemonade when it's hot out there. You're just enjoying life. It's like the golden hours. So you have a beautiful view wherever you are.
Do you have some ginger in it?
I don't.
If you put actual ginger in things, they smell soapy.
That's why I said it.
Did it smell soapy?
The ever so slightest.
It has. I kind of agree. It might be the combination of musks used.
It's Bromley English lemons. That's why it smells soapy. It's those. Have you ever had those? The classic. Your mum probably must have been given them at Christmas, by some aunts or other, because it's the classic. Oh, what should we get?
I think my mum only ever got given coal for Christmas.
Coal.
Yeah.
Right.
Boy.
Well, maybe somebody else did, but you get a box of lemon-shaped Bromley soaps.
Oh right, yeah, okay.
So I think this is so lemony that it just brings to mind the perfect shape of the Bromley soaps.
This is wonderful.
Thank you. But this was made this morning, so you have a few florals hidden in there. Perhaps you'll pick up, I don't know, some lavender or something. Because at my parents' place they have they have jasmine and lavender. So when you're in the summer and you're just enjoying outside, you have all those beautiful smells that come to you to enjoy as well. And
We're all going over next year.
yeah, you're invited. And so yeah, I think in a week you may smell a tiny bit more floral, so like lavender, perhaps jasmine, and a tiny touch of ylang ylang in the top to make it a bit class, because ylang ylang can make it a bit vulgar, I feel, if using in big amounts. But
Don't you disrespect my ylang ylang.
small touches can make it very beautiful. It's actually Dino's, a guy we had over last week, that made a wonderful a wonderful fragrance with ylang ylang in it, and it made the top just. I was drooling over the top. It was
Really?
so great. Yeah.
Do you have any? You don't have
Of
any?
Dino's fragrance? Not here.
Not here. We would have to ask him.
Yeah. He carefully constructed a few beautiful things, and in contrast, over there we've actually still got, that's the leftovers of all the ones that Roxana made and decided not to take with her. She'd made so many. So it's like,
wow.
spare 25 that she was a veritable mod factory. She was just creating at great
Some of
speed.
them might be, what are they called? Like just materials.
Oh, is that, yeah.
But so yeah, this will come to life in a week.
Ladies and
I'd say.
gentlemen, you should see Arthur's face. Look, she was being very, very adventurous, and I think that's why she took the ones away that she liked.
Did she leave the C10 here?
Cool.
No.
Alex, that is really. I love golden hour. I feel like I would want to. It makes me want to wear a loose-fitting shirt and sit out in the evening and just spritz myself in it, and maybe eat some pasta of some description.
Good.
Is what I want to do.
Let's go.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, it's
But that is what that is to me.
interesting. So yeah, that's a few things been working on.
Yeah.
What else for you, Sarah? The one to talk about you have the
Oh yeah.
formula.
Yes. Well, I'm not sure because I think that might be secret.
What I mean by then no.
Then we mustn't.
But well,
Oh, but do you want to smell some vanilla? We made some vanilla.
We did.
Just the vanilla accord. So
Yeah.
it's not giving away the formula.
Go on then. Let's do it.
we've already said what it's called though.
What's it called?
No, I'm not telling you again.
I can go back and bleep it out if you want.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, so I'll go back and bleep it out. So everybody,
Okay.
the bleeps that you just heard, that's why we
Yes, it's a lovely vanilla fragrance, and we're not saying what it's called, and we're not saying for whom we are making it. In fact, we're making 2 vanilla fragrances at the moment.
It would
Two
actually be
separate
really
people.
funny if you bleep.
He's
We're
still
gonna.
involved. He's
I'm going
decided.
to,
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's happening.
that's awesome.
Yeah. so we will not give it away, but
Let's not give it away.
Give it away, give it away, give it away now.
Okay, then this is vanilla accord.
yeah.
Made of other things that isn't,
Yeah.
that aren't vanilla.
You have tiny amount of vanilla absolute, 0.5%.
Do you always mix in jars like that rather than bottles?
For when I do trials of 20 grams, it's actually quite handy for the powders, you know.
Ah, right, okay.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to get in.
They're also just nicer, aren't they?
It also
Jars.
it depends what's on the shelf, I think.
Yeah.
And given that I have a load of these on the shelf, it's when you say,
Yeah.
does he always do that? It's like probably not at his house.
Yeah,
Around
yeah.
our place where we've got a lot of jars.
Yeah, I actually like to do in those, but I have like the larger one, the one you
Yeah.
have the clear one.
Yeah.
So this is supposed to smell like kind of posh without costing too much.
Yeah.
That it does.
Exactly.
Oh, that's really nice.
So this one, because I was saying we've got these 2 vanilla projects going on at the moment. I think what we'll probably do, I need to make mine almost a bit rougher,
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
but this is for a lovely client of ours.
I can't divulge any, well, the formula.
Really, really, really good. That's very, it's actually very complex. Complex. How do you pronounce that word?
Complex.
Complex. Complex.
It depends which country you're from, I think.
Yeah.
Complexity. It's not complexity.
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 Anyway. Complex. Itty. It is. Yes. It's interesting because it's clearly a vanilla, but there's a lot going on. That would be the definition of complexity.
It's,
Yeah.
yeah, it's it's a bit spicy.
I think she's going to like it. She's back next month, and well, but vanilla is a spice.
Yeah, vanilla is a spice. It's
Yeah.
an expensive one.
No.
Not well. Yeah, you have. Can I
Yeah,
tell
go on then.
anything about the
Yeah,
formula?
yes you can.
So you have mainly the the vanilla part,
Mm-hmm.
but vanilla on its own can smell a bit cakey or a bit, well, can
Pudding.
smell, yeah.
The
Yeah.
dessert.
Dessert trolley.
So we added some few things that would make it a bit complex. So we have a tiny amount of vanilla absolute, like I said, because I don't know, it looks cool to have this on the formula.
It's also lovely.
It's also lovely. We have a bit of awkward CO2 because when you have the vanilla bean, they kind of smell boozy a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So it adds this kind of complexity. You have some benzoin in there because it's vanilla and resinous and adds a layer of a golden instead of just being white.
Mm-hmm.
Tiny bit of tonka as well to make it, I don't know. It's beautiful.
Synthetic tonka.
It's not coumarin. This one I think it's I have 1% of tonka absolute.
Real thing.
The real thing.
But
Yeah.
that's all you're allowed. It's very restricted, isn't it?
Oh, it's restricted
Alright.
by cost. This one,
Right.
Tonka Absolute. It's
It's
restricted,
expensive.
but you can put more than that in.
Surely there was a you
It's
told us
yeah, it is.
a while back about people eating it.
Yes, and you can't eat tonka beans, and
That's
you can. Last time I had some tonka was a chocolate shop in Paris.
That's right.
But they said only eat one a day, and it's banned. The tonka beans are banned in California. It's because they're blood thinners.
That's right.
Coumarin's a blood thinner. Yes.
what's this one?
You know what it is.
Mm.
I know what it is.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's the oak wood, but I just wanted you to smell the oak wood so you knew where it
Isolation.
fits into this.
It will be more present in the vanilla when it's the opening.
Mm.
So perhaps a bit less now. But yeah, and you have a bunch of musks because you wanted an expensive vanilla musky thing. So this is a block basically and a chord for the fragrance, and then we built around that.
Yep.
Amazing.
So I just gave the instructions and Alex made the fragrance. And I can't tell you how much I am not looking forward to him going home. Then I'll have to do all the work myself again.
I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to going to visit.
Yeah.
I think you would love it.
Yeah.
You like wine?
Come on.
Well, then we have to have, well, if you want to go on all holidays or in France at some point, or even if you go to France, just ring me.
This is not everybody. This is just Arthur.
Yeah, just
like
Arthur.
Just so you know,
If
it's like
you ask
not all
nicely.
going to stay at Alex's.
But yeah, have a nice time at the house and then in the vineyards enjoying wine. They have pretty good wine and all good produce overall.
I went wine tasting the other night. Natural wines.
Oh yeah.
It's very, almost like kombucha-y. It's quite cidery.
Might not have had the best one.
Oh,
perhaps.
they were very good.
Very good. Okay.
Yeah. Lovely, and no hangover whatsoever.
Ah, yeah, that's nice. Yeah, if you drink a lot of great wine, you don't have a hangover the next morning. I think it has
C'est vrai.
its limits, perhaps, but
Yeah, there might be. Okay, so we've work in progress. We've all invited to Alex's, and we've got a couple of good vanillas coming out soon, but not from 4,160 Tuesdays, because we got one. Cream vanilla crumble.
oh, it's great. It is really great.
Didn't pay him to say that. Yeah, I'm fond of that because it's got tonka and hay and tobacco absolutely as well to make it more interesting. So, I think that's probably enough for this week.
Brilliant. Yep.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Arthur.
See you.